Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 has a very strange scene where Kissy Missy helps us to progress to one of the Electrocand puzzle rooms. Why does Kissy help us out when so many other toys want us tortured or dead? A Poppy Playtime theory? You betcha! Let's start with what we know. We know that Playtime Co was a massively successful toy factory that aimed to make children happy. We also know that Playtime Co did many experiments on living beings. Finally, we know that there were many toys rejected in the factory due to defects or just being bad ideas. Got all those facts? Now let's bring it all together. We know that Playtime Co was very successful when it was in operation. The factory was able to make a wide variety of toys that made many children happy. And considering that Playtime Co was in operation in the early 90s, when playing with toys was more popular than today, they would have made a lot of money. In fact, it seems almost as if they made too much money. In Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, we find out that Playtime Co was able to extend the factory deep underground, building labs and high-tech scientific facilities. These facilities costed a lot of money to build. We know this because there is a document revealing that workers were contracted at $100,000. That would be over $200,000 in today's money. That's not even including the scientists that they hired to run the labs, as well as the costs involved with running the Adoptive Care Initiative. Okay, so Playtime Co made tons of money. What does that even mean? More money typically means more labor. Playtime Co needs people to help run its massive operations. Looking at toys alone, the factory would still need human help pushing product around even if they made fancy magical toy-making machines. And more toys bought means more toys sent out to replenish the stocks. This could easily be kept up if Playtime Co hired more staff to do these duties, and maybe they did. But there is one crucial point that makes the effort useless: working conditions. Throughout Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, we can find many fun and colourful posters that encourage positive behaviours, but nearly every single one of them discourages their employees from taking part in that behaviour. A place that makes some of the most popular and fun toys should be somewhere that encourages creativity and fun. The people who work there are constantly fed messages that are anything but these things. Considering that Playtime Co was selling a lot of toys, particularly the Great Poppy doll, this would also lead to a severe burnout in the company.
Nobody in this stupid company knows what they're doing.
Eventually, many of the employees may have quit just because of their terrible work environment. And that might even be something to consider for the main character themselves, who did work at Playtime Co in the past. Something that is certain though, is that Playtime Co was quick to terminate, or in other words fire, its workers for breaking NDAs revealing company secrets. This would lead to a downward spiral of there being more work with less workers, all of which become stressed out and make mistakes like letting company secrets slip or making reject products. And that would be a big no-no considering how far Playtime Co took those products. But what does this have to do with Kissy Missy? You see, we also know that the company did secret experiments on living things, employing scientists to observe experiments that were contained or otherwise, including Kissy Missy. This would prove more difficult than it sounds. As we've learnt in previous videos, Playtime Co was working on instilling life in their toys and experimenting on the living, and ended up being successful in many ways, sometimes combining them in some way. However, because the toys had sentience, with some smarter than others, these scientists had to be very careful and work with security teams to make sure that they did not breach containment or do anything they weren't cleared to do. Also, despite all being dangerous, Mummy Longlegs and Huggy Wuggy would be less likely to need to be watched as constantly as Experiment 1006, which could take advantage of security downtimes of less than 30 seconds to breach containment.
These actions allowed him 28.3 seconds completely unmonitored. Once function returned to the camera, the room appeared to be empty.
This is documented in Chapter 2, where Mummy Longlegs was cleared to look after children at the game station and observed at a distance, and Huggy Wuggy was revealed to be more tame than Experiment 1006, which was under strict surveillance.
Huggy Wuggy remains the optimal outcome due to his sufficient intelligence paired with maximum obedience.
Unfortunately for Playtime Co, its strict rules stretched into the depths of these creepy facilities, and even these employees slipped once in a while. It's clear that the deeper you go into Playtime Co, the bigger the secrets they have to hide. It's important to carefully understand these working conditions because of one crucial reveal in Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. In this chapter, an area of the factory is introduced where there are toys with various defects. These toys were rejected for many different reasons, from being extremely dangerous to causing grievous bodily harm to children. Seriously, who thought that a toy that could give third-degree burns to a child was a good idea? In the middle of this massive pile of junk, you can find a sneaky document about someone by the name of Patty. Patty was a rogue worker at Playtime Co. who used the wrong colors to paint a huge amount of popular product. Considering the conditions at the factory, I don't blame her for this act of defiance. All work and no play makes Patty a rogue worker, and in a factory of overworked staff who probably just wanted their paycheck and to get out, it makes sense that Patty could get away with this until the last moment. And the result of catching up with Patty's antics? Termination. Up until now, we've used the word termination in a business or corporate sense, to fire someone, to let someone go. But now that we have a better understanding of the secrets of Playtime Co. and the grueling work environments its staff had to endure, it seems we need to consider a darker definition of the word. Instead of simply letting Patty go, Patty would be made to pay for her sins. The posters suggest that Playtime Co. would simply take legal action against anyone who would go against the company, but when you're already making millions of dollars, what good would that do? When you're as productive as Playtime Co., why not make the most of the resources already at hand? Instead of simply suing Patty, they could, by force or invitation, use her as part of their Living Toys experiments. Sure, there were plenty of children to work with, but Elliot Ludwig's research team figured out early on that larger life forms would yield better results. From rats, to children, to adults. It's something we suspected all the way from Chapter 1, but now that we have Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, the evidence is chillingly stronger. In our last video, we drew a connection between the hand symbol that shows on the TV screens of the tape recordings and what is being narrated. We could take this information so far as to suggest that some of the narrators actually were toys that those symbols represented. Stella Graeber, obsessed with children and eternal youth, would be Poppy. Leith Pierre, head of security at Playtime Co., would be the loyal Huggy Wuggy that protects the factory. And Patty would be Kissy Missy. It's not too far-fetched that all of these characters would have one reason or another to betray their company at some point, with Leith Pierre becoming frustrated with the heavier security protocols and the deepening company secrets, and Stella Graeber actually opening her heart to the dangerous games they put their children through. Given everything we've explored so far, it seems that Patty was just done. And whether she simply couldn't afford to fight her multi-million-dollar boss, or whether she was forced to, she would have to give in to becoming one of Playtime Co.'s twisted experiments. However, we know that these experiments have varying levels of success, and Patty's experiment might work in getting her soul or life force into Kissy Missy, but not necessarily in taming her. This independence would allow her to breach containment and roam the factory at will, trying to find a way to escape, stop her captors, or simply just to return back to normal. Perhaps she understood her position and roams around the factory, finding other toys to convince to figure out a way to escape, like Huggy Wuggy. Perhaps she understands just how dangerous the other experiments can be and tries her best to survive each night and day. Or maybe Patty could not overcome Kissy Missy's nature and is silently leading us to the Huggy we tried to kill in revenge. And yes, Huggy Wuggy may still be alive and hiding. Tap this video to find out more about that, or check out some Tattletale videos, which is another toy horror game. Subscribe for more creepy videos.